you. GooseWatch is watching you. GooseWatch is watching you.
These geese are suffering.
Leave them in peace. Hands off the geese.
Protests and controversy escalating as hundreds of helpless geese are killed in roundups. New York City officials are once again taking Canadian geese from public parks and killing them en masse by the hundreds, claiming it's the only way to keep the birds away from the airports. These deadly roundups began shortly after the famous Miracle on the Hudson, when U.S. Airways Flight 1547 sucked up birds in the engines and was forced to make an emergency landing on the river. But is the mass slaughter of these voiceless geese the only way to keep the skies secure? Are there more humane alternatives? Joining me now, the founder and director of GooseWatch New York City, David Karpkin. David, you had a protest in New York City this week. We're seeing it. A sizable number of people showed up. What points do you want to make?
Well, the public is being kept in the dark about what's happening in New York City parks with these Canada geese. The roundups are done under the cover of darkness of night. People are waking up to find out that the geese have been taken out of their parks with no real answers as to why it's happening. They're done with taxpayer dollars by USDA Wildlife Services. Every request that we've made for transparency has been denied. We believe that the public has a right to know what's happening, since we're paying for it.
We reached out to New York City Mayor Bloomberg's office for comment, and we're given this response from New York City's Department of Environmental Protection. Canadian geese are removed from city parks within 7 miles of each of the 3 major New York airports in order to reduce the serious risk that geese can pose to aviation safety due to the high probability of aircraft damage and public safety. Okay, a couple of things. David, are there more humane alternatives? I've heard the critics of this say there are more humane alternatives to keep the geese away from the airports.
Absolutely. We want to know what's being done in terms of implementing radar technology, habitat modifications around the airport. But the idea that geese living in parks around New York City or, even off-site of the airport are going to fly into an airplane is just an exaggerated threat that politicians are jumping on to distract from the real issues that are causing air safety concerns.
Well, listen, I take LaGuardia and JFK all the time. I want to be as safe as anybody else, and I consider Captain Sully a hero. But let's face it, there are millions and millions and millions of geese in the world. And if you keep killing them and they just keep coming back, maybe it's time to try something different. What do you say, David?
We need a long-term solution. Killing geese year after year is a disgrace to New York City. We are a civilized society, and we are technologically advanced, and we should be able to come up with ways to protect airline passengers and wildlife that live in New York City.
Yeah, because, listen, here's the thing. They keep replacing the geese that have been killed. So you kill geese and then new geese fly in. Also, I've heard that it was migratory birds that some claim that were involved in that strike, which means that those are birds kind of flying through. Those are not the birds that are hanging out near the airport all the time. So I think that suffice it to say there are a lot of unanswered questions here, and we want the answers. We don't want this to be done under cover of darkness. I'm a New Yorker. New Yorkers love animals, and I think they want to have answers. For more information on how you can get involved in this issue and sign, if you want to, the petition to end New York's annual goose slaughter, check out hlntv.com/James.